Statistics, Math 115. Welcome to Professor Villapando Personal Lecture Hall. This is chapter 8.1, Basic of Hypothesis Test. Let me go over some terminology first. Alright, hypothesis is a claim or statement about property of population. So basically it's a claim. Anybody can claim anything. So the claim is going to say some value is equal to some number, not equal, greater than, or less than some number. And then we're going to test that claim. The first notation is null hypothesis. It's capital H and O. It's a statement about the value of population. This is the null hypothesis, and we're going to test the null hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis notation is capital H and 1. The statement that must be true if H0 is false. This is an alternative of the null. Alright, we're going to do test statistic, and there will be two results. The first one is reject the null. The second one is do not reject the null. The conclusion will be there is or there is not sufficient evidence to support the claim, and then you must state the claim. Now let's look at an example of how to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Alright, so step 1, you're going to state the null and alternative. Null hypothesis, P, capital P stands for population proportion. Mu, look like you, but it's mu, stand for population mean. Is equal to some number. Is always going to be equal for null. Remember that. Null hypothesis always going to be equal. Alternative can be not equal, less than, or greater than. Now let's look at the example. The first one is say the claim. Concentrate on the claim. The mean. We talk about the mean here. The mean, so we're going to use the notation mu. Mu stands for the mean. Alright? Mu IQ of student is greater than. This is the keyword. Is greater than. So is greater than is going to be alternative hypothesis. Greater than. What number? 110. And this is the claim. I want you to make sure you put where the claim is, because the claim can be at the null or alternative. Again, alternative or null hypothesis will always be equal. So the null will be equal 110. Alright, that's all you have to do. State the null and alternative hypothesis. The second one, the second example, the mean. Again, the notation for the mean is mu. Alright, is not. You see the word is not. So since it's not, it's going to be alternative hypothesis. Is not equal to some number. In this case is 110. Null will always be equal 110. Alright, now let's go to the next example. 20% of adults smoke. Alright, you see 20%, they didn't say the word mean. So 20% is mean 20 out of 100. So think of proportion. So now we deal with proportion. So we're going to use P. We don't use mu anymore. We use P because this is proportion. Alright? 20% of adult smoke. It means 20% of adult is smoking. Right? So you're going to have equal. Alright? Not always equal. 20%, I'm going to convert it to decimal. If you convert 20% to decimal, it's 0.20. And remember, your claim now is the null. It doesn't have to always be alternative. It can be the null. So that's why make sure you write down where your claim is. Alright? So alternative of equal would be not equal, obviously, right? We don't know it's greater than, we don't know it's less than, so it's not equal. 0.20. Alright, so that's example of proportion and is equal. Now let's look at example number 4. It said that the standard deviation of pulse rates of adult male is more than 11 beats per minute. So the word standard deviation now is no longer the mean, is no longer proportion, it's the standard deviation. You're going to use notation sigma. Again, sigma is referred to standard deviation. Null will always be equal. Alright, and the statement is more than 11 beats per minute. So the alternative will be greater than. Null will be 11 beats per minute, and alternative will be greater than. And now the claim is on alternative hypothesis. Alright, step 2, you need to identify either it's left tail test, right tail test, or two tail test. You're going to use the alternative hypothesis to decide. Alright, and just for all of our example, let alpha be 1%. They have to give you the alpha in the question. And we're going to use table A2 to find the critical number. Let's look at the first one. The mean IQ of statistic is actually statistics student. I make a mistake. Statistics student is greater than 110. So look at alternative hypothesis. It's greater than, so it's going to be right tail test, which means you have shaded area to the right. Alright? I forgot the word student here. I'm going to put student. Alright? Sorry. Now alpha is 1%. If you convert this to decimal, it's 0.01. Alright? You need to convert percent to decimal. Then use table A2. Remember, table A2 have shaded area to the left. You have to modify it a little bit to get the critical number. And if you look in the table A2, your critical number is 2.33. And the area here is 0.01. Alright. Let's look at the second example. The mean IQ statistic student my mistake, I'm sorry, is not equal to 110. And then you look at alternative hypothesis. It's not equal. When it's not equal, it's going to be two tail test, which means you have two shaded area. Now your alpha is 0.01. Alpha is the shaded area. Since you have two shaded area, you're going to have to divide by 2, which means you're going to divide 0.01 by 2. Alright, because there are two shaded area. And if you do that, it's 0.005. Alright, now again you're going to look at table A2 for 0.005 in the body for C-score. Your C-score would be negative 2.575. Alright, because it's the same area, the right hand side will be positive 2.575. If you don't remember how to read table A2, it's in chapter 6. Alright, we can't go over this right now. Let's look at the next example. The claim is 20% of adult smoke. So the claim becomes the null. The alternative is not equal. Again, when it's not equal, you're going to have two tail tests. Alpha is 0.01. Again, we have two shaded area. Alpha is the shaded area. We're going to divide this by 2. So you have 0.005 on each area. Look at table A2 for the body. You will find the z-score is negative 2.575 on the left hand side. Because it's symmetry, the z-score on the right hand side will be 2.575. Alright, now let's look at the fourth example, which I changed a little bit. Less than 20% of adults smoke. So less than, this will become an alternative hypothesis. It's the claim. Not always going to be equal. Alpha is 0.01. Alright, we only have one shaded area. We're not going to divide this by 2. So the shaded area is 0.01. Look in table 2 in the body for 0.01, and your z-score should be negative 2.33. Alright, so it's going to fall in these three cases, no matter how they state the claim. Keep in mind that if look at the alternative, if it's greater than, is right tail test. If it's not equal, is two tail test. And if it's less than, is left tail test. Alright, I want you to practice only state the null and alternative hypothesis. Chapter 8.1, I will email you the homework problem. Alright, have a good weekend.